Hey y'all, just wanted to give my little book review because you know me, I am a bit of a reader. Haven't uploaded one in a while though because I've been, busy. So just today, gonna be reviewing Dracula by Bram Stoker, the original. So just going off right away, the cover is, nothing special. It's just a picture of what Dracula's castle you would suppose. Length is pretty decent. As you can see, it's not a large book, but lots of words per page. And it's about 460, 430, 50 pages. And I'd say cumulatively it took me 12, 13 hours to read. Definitely a bit of a length, but to be fair, I'm trying to get back into reading more, and I am. This, in my peak reading, would have probably taken me 10, and at the point where I was after I dropped out from my peak, more like 15. So, I'm getting back down there, um, while still retaining comprehension. But yeah, just to talk about it. So, to give my general take, I've never been much for horror. Not in the way of movies, video games, shows, books. Never been much of a horror fan, but I really liked. I heard a lot of descriptions about Van Helsing. I really liked a lot of the descriptions about him. How he's a great polymath. He's got like doctorates in philosophy. I believe it was philosophy, literature, medicine, theology as well, and a few others. He's a very brilliant guy, and that's my favorite type of character archetype. I think, the polymath, the one who can fix everything. Think of the Mike Ehrmantrauts or um, the Skips of regular shows. I was trying to think of one from books that I've read, but none really come to mind. But anyways, yeah. So I like the characters. So um, I do think Van Helsing carried a lot of it, but maybe that's just my own confirmation bias. Like I was seeking for the parts of Van Helsing, so that's what I found. I did find the passage describing the last voyage of the Demeter, I believe it was called, the ship that Dracula crossed over on. That was very interesting. And I love how they made I believe they made a new movie about it. I haven't watched it yet, but, it was, I definitely want to watch it soon. Because if it's as good as the passage, then I think that is nice. So, anyways, as far as the book goes itself, the plot was nice. The fight scenes were pretty good. They could have been a little bit better. They could have been better developed. Lot of lot of setting requirement, and I explained what that means before, but I'll explain it again because that was an older video. But basically, just one of those books where like you really have to like it leaves a lot if you don't know the geography of the place. So like it talks about European places a lot, and I was just kind of lost in those parts. But as far as plot goes, killing Dracula, saving saving Mina Harker from becoming a vampire. Pretty decent plot, I'd say. It could have been better, um, but it was pretty good overall. Characters were great. Characters were really well developed. A few of my favorites were Van Helsing, of course. I liked Renfield as well, the John Seward, Doctor Seward's patient, psychiatric patient. Let's see. Uh, what was his name? Quincy Holmwood, I think. The American of the story, dies a sacrificial death. He was nice. I liked him. Yeah, pretty much. Decent characters. They were well developed. They had a lot of story to them. Um, you know, what else? What else is there? The ending was a bit underwhelming. They killed Dracula without like much struggle. They just opened the box and they killed him. I was hoping for a bit more of a fight, so that was a bit underwhelming. But yeah. Other than that, I think I've stated this before in my previous book reviews, but if not, I'll state it again. Like I want to go off of a scale of 100 because I feel like 5 or 10 are way too reductive. Um, so I'm going to be going off. I guess I can use a 10-point scale, but I'm going to definitely be using like all the decimals, like 0.1, 0.2. So what would I rate this? If you are a fan of horror books, then this is kind of like, I'm not a fan of horror books and I liked it. So I imagine that if you are a fan of horror books, you would really like it. So in that sense, I'd probably give it an 8.3. If you're a fan of horror books, if you're just a fan of classics in general, which I am, then you'll like it. You'll like it a lot too. You know, not as much as you're a horror fan. So in that sense, I'd probably give it like a 7.4. Overall, I would rate it a 7.7. I think that's fair. 7.7, pretty great book. And I'll just give a real quick, give like a list of my, how book rankings work. So anything that's a 9 or above is one of the best books I've ever written. Anything from like, say, 8 to 9 is like top 20, top, well, I guess if 9 and above is best books ever written, then okay, we'll say like anything 8 to 9 is like top 100 books I've ever read or written, or top 100 books that have ever been written. Um, and then 7 to 8 is like definitely a great book. I would consider, I would buy it, you know, if I had a little extra money laying around. Um, and then 6 to 7 is like, you know, like, yeah, I mean, if I have like, if I get like a bunch of cash as a birthday present and I see it's on sale, then I'd probably get it. You know, it's definitely, you won't regret reading it. Um, 6 to 5 would be like, you know, I would, you know, if I saw it free somewhere, I'd pick it up, but I'd never spend money on it. And it was a fine read, but I'd honestly rather read something else. And anything 5 and below is like a waste of time. I regret reading it. It's wasting any time reading it. So just a quick overview. But yeah, overall, Dracula 7.7 out of 10, and highly recommend for any of the aforementioned conditions. So yeah.